guys, what's up, and welcome back to the Over in 80 Minutes podcast. This week, as you can see on the screen, we've got a cracking guest. Over 140 professional appearances, played with the likes of Ben Earl, been at Sarries, Bristol, Bedford, Wasps, stalwart through and through. Current interim head coach of Bristol Bears women's rugby team is Tom Lindsay. Tom Lindsay, welcome to the podcast. How are you, sir?
I'm good, mate. That was quite embarrassing. Thank you very much. You kind of forget about those bits and pieces when you retire from the game. But no, thank you very much for the lovely intro.
Mate, it's easy to compliment somebody that's doing a lot of good work. Like it's really not difficult. Like it's the best bit when you look through people and you're like, I don't know how they found the time to do all this stuff and how long they've actually been in the game. Like I was looking through it, you've got 10 plus years in the game, professional game.
I know, and funnily enough, I'm probably fitter now than I was when I played. Like, it's mental.
Mate, it's probably just the knees thanking you. They'll be the most thankful part.
Oh, mate, the knees, ankles, back, head, everything is a lot more relaxed and a lot better now. Supple. I use supple too much. I'm probably more soft than supple now, just due to lockdown part 10.
You're one of these boys that just lives by like yoga now, like post-retirement, just yoga and spin classes. That seems to be the trend. Yeah,
lockdown version 1, really got into yoga. Lockdown 2, really got into crisps and chocolate. Now I'm out of lockdown. I'm probably going to get back to yoga. I'm back in the gym now. But yeah, you go through, like, there's only so much Netflix you can watch, honestly. And yeah, I did hit a lot of yoga. Made sure everyone knew about it on Instagram.
Mate, if you don't do a workout and put it on Instagram, you don't do a workout now.
Exactly. If my watch tells me I've burnt calories, it won't actually show me until I put it on Instagram.
Oh mate, did you have it was when they did that it was like run for 5 and it was the 5K and it was like the Strava and it was like you had like girls breaking world records that had never done it. Right, everybody get out and do it. It's like 5K sub 10. It's like, all right.
Yeah, I did it. Yeah, Roger Bannister was wondering what the hell's going on. No, I did it once. I went for a run. I was like, oh, 5K. I'm in good nick. I'm really fit. Mm-hmm. I did it. Got to 3.2K, and my calves were like, absolutely not. What the hell are you doing? Just went solid and carried it. So then I was like, oh, maybe it's because it was on like hard ground. So I went to my local pitch, 4G. I just ran around that. Got to about 3.3K. Calves were like, absolutely not, Tom.
That's
Mate, I did it like 3. Yeah, but I think that was the extra 100 meters was me walking back to the changing room like Pingu because I couldn't bend my knees. So yeah, I gave up on that, and I'm really into walking now. So I'm probably walk 5K easy now, but there's no way I'm running that 5K.
Mate, I was the same because I got like, you know how it was like the tag and the donation thing. So I did it, and I think I got tagged on it on a Sunday. Went for the run on the Monday. Looked at the time, I was like, we're gonna do this again a few more times, then we'll post it. So I think I did it on the Friday eventually, but I was like, that's a bit more of a respectable time.
No, I just lied. I just led 3.2. I went, yeah,
5 done. Right, class. Anyway, we'll probably get into the actual podcast now, but that's a nice bit to start up. Right, we're going to start right from the front. So, what's it like coming through the Sarries Academy? Obviously, you've got good stalwarts of the game. You've got Sir Jim Hamilton there, cowsheds and back, rucking all day, all night. What's it like growing up in the Sarries Academy? Because obviously you came through with quite a highly profile group of players.
So I was in the Saracens Academy when I was 15, 16.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was there. Who was in the academy with me? Andy Saul was there. He ended up going to Newcastle, and I think he's retired now. Alex Good was there. There were some fantastic players. And one of the current academy coaches, Mike Heinard, at the time said to me, "Look, Tom, I was playing winger 12 at the time, big lad." Like,
this is only funny because I know where you ended up in the positions. So
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, no, exactly. And yeah, I ended up almost being diabetic. How big I was. Like, honestly, I don't understand. I got a 14 or a 13 on my shirt. But Mike was like, "Look, Tom, if you want to make it professionally, you're going to have to play front row." After he said that, I literally walked out and left. I was like, I'm not doing that. So I left. Mom,
it's not for me. I'm going to basketball. It's not for me.
Honestly, yeah. Smoke grenade just disappeared. So I ended up being picked up by Wasp Academy then a couple of months later, and ended up playing the backs for them. Enjoyed that. And then when I was 18, I got told if I wanted to play professional rugby, I had to go to front row. So I think it was one of those things that was going to chase me for life, and I just kind of like bit the bullet and was like, if I'm going to get paid to play rugby, I will do whatever you want. So that's how I went from kind of Sarries to Wasp at that time.
I love that. I love the thought of you going from like 5-meter channel dives to chuck me in a scrum. nothing but squats and red meat. That's what I'm on now.
No, there was quite a few 5-meter dives, but like it was more of a lapse and a pick and go when it came with it. But I suppose exactly, yeah. The old meat pie, literally 5 meters out. So it was good having the experience of playing in the backs, the understanding of defense and the vision and kind of the agility that came with that really helped when it came to my open play. Obviously, scrummaging took me about. Well, I'm still trying to work out how to scrummage now, and I'm retired. Same with throwing; those things did not come to me very easily. And obviously, I moved from prop to hooker.
It's the second row's job to get it.
Exactly. That's if it's not straight, yeah. But if it's an overthrow, I just blame the lifters and the jumpers.
Yeah, exactly. When you're throwing a ball, you're told like if it's in here, you should catch it. So it's the same as the top of a liner. If it's in here, you should catch it. Exactly.
No, that's the whole thing. Thing is, though, what was bad was I kept making that circle bigger and bigger and bigger, and I ended up just being like, if it's like around 3 or 4 meters around near your head, you should be catching it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is just going to become like a little like front row union in this call.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Hookers bring a team together. That's all it is.
Yeah, we're all the jigsaw pieces that's going to fix the jigsaw. So
exactly. If you don't win a single scrum if you've not got a good hooker.
No, exactly, and it was fun because the Prem Rugby just did their best to try and retire me by changing the rules every 2 months from the age of like 18 to 33. The rules changed over, and the calls. It was like, what was it? It was crouch, bind, touch, pause, set, engage. Like there was so many different calls every pre-season. It was like, well, let's see how it goes, and it got to the point where the referees before the season started were like, we're going to see how it goes. Kind of we'll reassess it. You know, when new laws come in. The new laws come in for about 3 games and they forget about them. It was really tough because we were kind of there was no like blueprint or guidance to what they wanted and how they wanted to see it. It was kind of trial and error just to get rid of the hit. Obviously, the hit was devastating. Right, a meter gap was ridiculous when you've got 500 or 600 kilos. But it's just basically 2 small ships hitting each other. I mean, that's not particularly a great idea.
It was a small car crash. Like was it Adam Jones that described it? It's like it's a small car crash every 30 seconds.
Absolutely, yeah. And if you didn't get it right, God help you. You see what happens if people don't get it right. Obviously, Phil Vickery against the Lions, like he got sunroofed out the scrum, didn't he? So it's just you have to get it right, and it just takes a lot of time. And also, the biggest thing about scrummaging is the alignment. You have to have the alignment between your front row and your second row and back row, and it is one in, all in. If you know what I mean, it's not a case of every scrum only 5 people scrummage. All 8 need to, and it's a big buy-in thing. It's a big culture thing as well.
Oh mate, I will not comment because until like you said, until I got shipped into the front row, I was back row and I was like 30-second rest here. I'll just cling on.
Oh, so were you just Were you a back row that was too slow, or a back row that was particularly dynamic but the front row were terrible?
I was a back row that realised he was better than average at under 18, 16. And then I just kind of let the fitness slide. And then because I'm 5'10" in Ultra Boosts, right? Like not screaming.
In Ultra Boosts, I love that. Yeah. In rollerblades.
Yeah, exactly. So that was my generous height. So like roller coasters were tricky. Like it was the same as you. They're like, if you want to go further, you're going into the front row. And I just took that as an excuse of red meat and beers. That's me. Yeah. I'm in.
Nice.
So I moved to the front row for there. But like when I was on the back row, I was the worst for aiding a scrum. I was like, yeah, this is the rest.
Oh, so you were 6. You were a typical 6 then.
I was a generous 6. I was there. I took 5.
Generous 6. Were you a carrying 6, or were you like, oh, I'm going to carry, I'll carry it, or I'm going to make every big hit?
I will tell you that I was the only person that could play rugby successfully without touching the ball. I was there for counter rucking and tackles. That was all I was there for.
So you were like Richard Hill, basically.
Mate, I've got dildos for fingers. Like, it is dreadful.
Fish tits.
Yeah, exactly. It just never worked. So I was there. I was the only person that could play rugby without touching the ball. Like if I touched the ball, we were either winning comfortably or the game had gone to shit, and they thought we'll just pass this out.
Or you're just trying to nick the match ball at the end of a good game.
Yeah, lads, I don't know if you saw the stats, but this is coming home with me. That's the one.
Exactly. Yeah, I picked it up before the game, took it away after the game.
Yeah, 5 carries, 3 T bring-ons. That was me. That was like game ball.
Nothing wrong with that, mate. Nothing wrong with that at all.
So, right, tell me about Wasps. 11 years at Wasps, and you were. I don't know if you noticed yourself. You were 1 game shy of 130 games.
Yeah, I know.
They gave you the 129. Like,
yeah, look, I was happy I got the 129 to be honest.
mate, you're 33. Just phone them up and go, right, just one game, first game
Yeah,
of the season. Like,
I'm still in contact with some of the recruitment there and stuff like that. It's one of those clubs that obviously you spoke to Callum Sturker about it. It is a club where it's not about where you are; it's about the people who make that club. It's very nomadic, but yeah. So I joined Wasps in 2007, I think, and that season they won.
We'll go with it, yeah. 2007.
Yeah, we'll go with that, and yeah, it was something like that. And they won the Prem that year, and there's me rocked up. I was festively plump all year round. And I was turning into a tight head. So I turned up at the club in the academy, and in my academy at the time, you had Danny Cipriani, you had Don Waldock, Joe Simpson, you had Tom Rees, James Haskell. Like, there's the names and the caliber of players that were there were unbelievable. And in the first team, Raf Ibanez, you had Tim Payne, you had Simon Shaw, you had Joe Worsley, Josh Lucy, Alex Kinn, like some of these players, Mark Van Gisbergen. I could go on. The team was just, and your head coach was director of it was Ian McGeechan, Craig Dowd, World Cup winner at tight head. Like it was a joke.
That must be class. Like the rugby experience, you can then, like, as a young player, you can call on and you go, like, you're shown how to be a rugby player effectively just by, like, you'd get it just by osmosis, just sitting in the room, I imagine.
Oh, exactly. Like you just kept your head, you just kept under the radar. Like you just hope you didn't bump into Lol in the corridor because he was about 1,000 foot taller than you were. But like everyone was so accommodating. Everyone looked after you. Obviously, there was a huge amount of different characters. Sean Edwards was there, and one of the most unbelievable coaches, most passionate, heart on your sleeve coaches. You generally cared about you as a player. But if you got something wrong in training, you knew about it. And like he would always get involved in training as well. Like he'd always be boxing, so shadow boxing in the gym as well. So like you had all that kind of stuff going on. Obviously, you had international galore as well. That was that year, and as they got to the final, and the whole story behind Tim Payne unfortunately doing his MCL 2 games before the final, and then the Wasps were like, right, we've got 2 weeks before the final. Let's have a probables versus possibles game. Like, who does that nowadays?
I remember hearing about this. Like, I remember, like, because I must have been, I would have been much older than 10. And I remember, I think it's like one of my first rugby memories, when your heart sinks for somebody. Was that same thing? He comes out, it's like torn his MCL, and then you hear it's like probables versus possibles, and you're like, mate, surely the first 15 were just like, yeah, we ain't playing in that.
Yeah, no, mate, like, it was one of those games. I'm sure you've played them as well. Like,
I think you're really doubting my rugby ability here, mate.
No, there's always games where you're like, I will play an internal game, and you'll either get people that go real hard, or you get people that've got absolutely no interest. And like, always the young lads will go hard, but if you don't go hard, mate, you can end up getting hurt. So some of the players turned up late to the game. It was at Henley. I remember it was at Henley. Players turned up late, and it was one of those things. And after the game, I remember Craig Dowd and Ian McGeechan spoke to Phil Vickery, because obviously Phil Vickery was playing tight head, and the other loose head was Tom French. And they asked Vic, like, how did Tom French go? Was he good? They're like, he was class. I thought he was really, really good. So the week going up to the game, Tom French hadn't really had much Premiership experience. Got the text saying he's starting at Twickenham in the final, and he was outstanding in the game. Had an absolute blinder, and he had Julian White in his back pocket. So it was things like that made that year so special. And obviously they were sponsored by Magnus at the time. So after the game, Magnus looked after us in a pub in Richmond on the, I can't remember the roundabout. I managed to sneak my 3 uni mates in, just 3 uni mates.
I love it. It's like, oh no, mate, I've got +1s. It'll be fine.
Because I lived in I was at university at Twickenham in St Mary's. So I got 3 of my mates and then one of their uncles just rocked up. I was like, yeah, come in. It's free Magnus all day. They've got pictures with all the first team players, the CEO of Magnus, and we woke up the next day going, it's one of those things like, did that actually happen? So yeah, it was an amazing day, and it's like stories like that you always hold close to your heart. Obviously, I wasn't involved, but I was in the actual academy squad still. But like,
you played in the probables versus possibles, so that's like a whole. Yeah,
Oh, mate,
I prepped the team. I've prepped the team. Like they're ready for.
Essentially, I trained with some of them. Yeah, that's basically yeah. I've got that somewhere.
If you were on bags a week before, you can take as much credit as the guy who scored the winning try. That's as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if Sean Edwards is like bags 5 meter channel.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. No, exactly. And I'll never forget as well. We were on the bus. Obviously, we'd won, and I think it was Johnny O'Connor. There was everyone outside was absolutely steaming, part of the crowd. I think he got on. He got a couple of just random supporters on the bus and just asked them to do a boat race. Like they didn't want to do it. They didn't want to do it, but they were forced to do it, and it was good fun. Like, that's the kind of stuff that was going on that day, and it was an unbelievable day. It was good to beat Leicester as well. A huge rivalry there, and I do mention that. I do mention that to Craner quite a bit whenever I see him.
As you should. You should just put it in. You should just put it in the blokes chat every now and again. Obviously, with Joe and Tom being massive fans, just every now and again, just go. Remember the 07 final? What a day!
Oh yeah, what a day! Thing is, though, whenever I mention it to Craner, he just shows me that video of him kicking that penalty over in the Heineken Cup final when Martin Williams shanked his kick over and over again. That penalty
kick. That was the one up here, was it not? The one up at Murrayfield.
It might have been. Yeah, all I remember is Craner giving it the finger when he knocked it over. Exactly. He does make sure everyone sees that every couple of years.
Good. Oh mate, well, as you should. Like you've got to, like you said, memories are what stay. Like people don't remember games, they remember memories. Right, I'm gonna ask you. So your time at Bedford, what's it like in the Championship? Like how different is it being in the Championship compared to the Prem? Because obviously it's a hot topic. It has been for the past couple of years. We don't need to mention anybody or throw them under the bus or degrade anybody, but like obviously Saracens been down there. What's it like in the Championship compared to the Prem? So obviously you've just done 11 years at Wasps and now you're at Bedford.
So, I needed some game time. So I was at Wasps. Had signed 2 years at Gloucester, and then halfway through my Gloucester contract, picked up an injury, came back. I wasn't in the right place to be playing there. I got asked to leave, and I spoke to my agent. He's like, "Look, let's go. Sarries want to sign you." So I signed for Sarries for 6 months. Amazing 6 months. And with that, I needed some game time. So they've got a contact with Bedford anyway. And every year, Bedford play in a Mobs Memorial game against the Army. I played in that, and I met Mike Rare, the legendary all-dayer Mike Rare. I met him and had a conversation with him. They needed a hooker for the year after, and I got in a conversation with him. And the next thing you know, I've signed for them. So the Championship is a very special league. It's a league made up of people that, players that either are happy playing in the Champ, happy being a bigger fish in a small pond. You've got players that are trying to come to the ranks, didn't make the academies that they may have been part of, or they're on loan, or you've got players who are coming to the end of their career and just enjoying a bit of a jolly, trying to get a bit of a paycheck. Yeah. But the fact that you've got that kind of amount of players and coaches in a melting pot, you get some unbelievable experiences. And obviously, the league is split up in different types of teams. So obviously, you've got the Ealings and the Saracens, that are a bit more professional. Doncaster's going that way now, which is good. And then you've got like the Richmonds, who have got a very, I know Richmond aren't in the league. Yes, they are. Yeah, Richmond.
I'm pretty sure they are.
Yeah, Richmond have got a very special kind of. Everyone gets paid the same. There's a huge culture there. They're essentially blokes on good money in town who just come and play on the weekends for a bit of extra cash, and it's quite nice. Whereas, and you've got the Bedfords, you've got Cornish Pirates, teams like that. So Bedford, for me, Bedford's known for the social there and free flowing rugby. So from leaving, when I left Bedford, I was like, anyone who wants to go and play in the Champ, go and play for Bedford. Honestly, it's one of those places where you go back and you fall in love with rugby. And that's what I did. You fall in love with rugby, you're playing it for why you want to play it. Obviously, the pressure's off a little bit, but you've still got to perform week in, week out. Boys train really hard. And Mike Rare knows what he's doing. Fantastic coach, great motivator. And they don't do a pre-season tour. They will always do their little they'll go away together, and they'll tie it in with memorial services in November for World War II, World War I Armistice Day, and they'll tie that in as well. So they'll do a bit of culture, and then they'll go and visit the different cemeteries and different war memorials. But that grounds you as players as well. You get close, culture builds, a family environment builds, and that's where we were. And we had some fantastic players. Alex Ray was obviously coaching forwards at the time, along with with Heinze as well, another forward, an ex-England player. And then obviously Lee Dixon was there, Will Hooley. There was loads of players there, but it was fantastic. And my favourite memory from Bedford would have to be pre-season against Sarries. I just left Sarries. We had pre-season against them. We did pretty well in the first half. We were absolutely, we were knackered after half time. They put on their bench and we got absolutely smoked. But like it was good fun, and it was just a boiling hot day. And it's just those are the memories. As you said, you play the game to make memories, and albeit you don't always win trophies or win medals, but it's just you got to make sure you come away from it thinking I had a great time when I did it. Yeah,
absolutely, mate. You've sold Bedford to me, mate. I might send through a CV.
Mate, go for it. Why not?
Waterboy. Waterboy. I just want to cut the team bonding sounds class. I just want to be there.
Oh, mate, it was fantastic. Bedford's got talent. It's renowned in the rugby circles.
Well, we're definitely getting somebody from Bedford on, and we're going to discuss. Go on then. What was the best Bedford's Got Talent act you ever saw at your brief stint there?
Okay, fine.
Or better yet, what was your participation in Bedford's Got Talent?
Well, so I was rehearsing my Careless Whisper rendition by George Michael.
Yeah.
And I rehearsed it. And when it got to doing it, I was like, this is really, really tough, actually. It's quite a hard song, quite a lot of harmonies. It was quite hard. So I ended up just going to my kind of default of Teenage Dirtbag by Wheatus. However, I'd previously used that after a game before. So I was kind of put in the corner with like the maggots of the flies of the bin juice. I was put in the corner there. Lee Dixon was there as well because his song was terrible. I think he probably did Mr. Brightside. But there's certain songs you don't do the national anthem, you don't do Wonderwall, and you probably stay away from the Killers. And the best rendition was oh my god, I forgot his name. It's really, really upsetting and quite embarrassing. Penny, sorry, his name was Penny. Sorry, he was a tight head. Typical, fantastic. Like he looked like a pub rugby player. Fantastic. What you need in the champ. Really, really brought the boys together. And he did a song by Tina Turner, and I reckon he'd have done well on Drag Race UK. He was unbelievable. Honestly, his fantastic pins. He owned. When I say he owned the stage, we did it in a public park in the middle of. I think we were in Brugge, maybe, but yeah, he absolutely owned the stage. He was fantastic. And what they do is every year Bedford's Got Talent. You start with the whoever won it the year before, and Ed Taylor sung Nessun Dorma, like just exactly like the Go Compare. Was it compare the market.com, whatever it is? Sorry, not compare the market. Sorry, Go Compare even.
Yeah,
exactly the same as him. He was fantastic, and that was not my strong point, but I enjoyed it.
I love the thought of 40 boys sat in Bruges, like stubby bottles in hand, just rinsed.
Double denim.
Is it double denim attire? I love that.
Yeah, Canadian tuxedos galore.
And you've just got one lad just prop, and you've just got 39 other boys bawling their eyes out as Nessun Dorma was getting some.
Yeah, exactly. So it was fantastic. Really good day. Really enjoyed it.
I actually there needs to find a way where somebody goes like, why you should take your kids to play rugby, and I just want to show them that story. Because your kids will end up in Bruges in a Canadian tuxedo singing Nessun Dorma, crying his eyes out.
No, exactly. There's so many there's so many stories like that about rugby. It's probably the best. I think it's one of the best sports in the world where everything they do is dependent on their players around them, coaches around them. Like everyone has to do the same job. There's not many sports where everyone has the same job, so it's a special sport.
Mm-hmm. I used to say all the time, I was like, the worst part about rugby is actually having to interrupt the fun to play a game. Like that is the worst part of rugby, having to play the game.
Oh, I know what you mean. Like, it's just.
I describe it as like, because up here, right? So when it's raining and cold in Scotland, it's miserable. And like you'll be in the changing rooms, there'll be like this one old shoddy heater from your old changing room that's like 40 plus years old. There'll be like a little square bench, there'll be half the team sat on it, and you'll be having this awful banter, and the coach will be like, right, everybody outside, and you'll just be like, oh.
Right, that has really sparked some nostalgia for me, actually, because I know exactly what you're feeling like. I was playing for Gloucester, and my couple of my best mates, Dan Murphy, who used to be Irish Gloucester, and Tom Hicks, who used to be at Gloucester as well, and was at Doncaster, and then Tom Hicks retired now. We were playing Northampton away in an A-League game, and we went out to warm up. And when I say the heavens opened, honestly, like, it was chubby rain. You know, rain where like
it's visual from like miles away on the camera, right?
Yeah. You know, it was getting to the point where it was sore. It was hitting your face, quite sore. And someone had left their playlist on, so we all got back in the change room, and we had like 10 minutes before we had to be out. So we're like, lads, have 2 minutes to yourself, and we all sat down, and everyone had that minute of like A-League. Obviously, when you play A-League, different people have got different reasons why they're playing it, or different kind of what they want to get out of the game. So you got the older boys like, I really don't want to be here. I'm just kind of picking the numbers. I haven't played rugby in a while. I'm thinking about retiring. You got the young lads like, my first game, can't wait. And other players are like pissed off because they're there because they should be playing in the first team. And I remember Daniel Bedingfield, I've got to get through this, came on the on someone's playlist, and I was in absolute tears, just laughing. Like before games, I'm not banging my head against the wall. I'm quite relaxed, bit jovial.
You're not one of the psycho hookers where it's like he'll rip your head off if you walk past him at the wrong time.
No. I'm a lover, not a fighter. And myself, I looked at Dan Murphy and we looked at Tom Hicks, and we both absolutely wet ourselves laughing. Like, the coach came in. There's nothing you can do, mate. I'm like, you know when you're trying not to laugh, it was even worse. Yeah. And to this day, we've all got all three of us have got a WhatsApp group, and I've got to get through this. So I'll always remember that. Whenever that song comes on, I just remember Northampton A-League playing for Gloucester, and we won that game. But oh my god,
it's stuff like that you just can't write. It's like of all the song titles, and you're like you can see it's one of those ones that you look around the changing room. It's like nobody wants to be here right now. It's like there's always that thought. It's like obviously not at A-League, but like Sunday League level. It's like you're half thinking you're like, I'll take the 20-point loss if it means we don't have to go out there right now. But
no, mate, I completely like another one was when Wasps were going through dire straits, and we were like, are we going to go under? We weren't going to get paid. They said, look, we might be able to pay you this Christmas. I was like, we're like, oh my god! And that's when Di Young said to us, look, guys, just look after yourselves. Make sure you get something sorted. If you have to leave, you have to leave. We went into the gym. Everyone was like, right, we don't know if we've got jobs next year or whatever it's going to be. I think it was Charlie Davis went on and he put on Aloe Black, I Need $1. The gym session, class gym session, boys were just like, oh, we don't laugh, we'll cry. And it was just bits like that were just fantastic.
Mate, it's people like that, like people that put songs on like that you need in a changing room. Like, you can have the best players in the world, but when you don't have people like that, it's not a place you want to be. So
no, exactly. Like, as you said, you can have the best players in the world, but if they're not team players or they don't want to be part of the squad, you get what happens at Toulon. They're successful for a few years and then they just go off the rails a little bit because there isn't that kind of longevity in that club. It's Dave Sherry. It's Dave Sherry still at Edinburgh, isn't he?
Yeah, mate, the Sherry.
Oh, absolute legend, Jay. I was with Dave at London Scottish.
Oh, mate, I was convinced he was going on the Lions tour after those last two Six Nations games. I was like, he's there.
Honestly, he needs to write a book, because like when I was at London Scottish with him, that was only like 4 years ago. For him and I to go London Scottish to Edinburgh to end up winning the Triple Crown. He won the Triple Crown with Edinburgh, didn't he? When they beat England. No. What was the last Six Nations?
Do you mean the Calcutta Cup?
Calcutta Cup, sorry. Why did I say Triple Crown? Sorry.
I was like, mate, I am awful at my job in social media if I completely missed when Scotland won the Triple Crown, because I did not remember that.
No, sorry. They won the Calcutta Cup, didn't they? Yeah. And that was his first cap, and he scored, I'm pretty sure. So, he's doing very well. Mate, you never know what could happen. A couple of injuries at hooker. Who knows? Mate,
exactly. Like, a prime example. Make your international debut at... Well, how was Dave Sherry now? Dave Sherry,
39? Oh, sorry. How old does he look, or how old is he?
This is my podcast.
Sorry. Another person that wants to knock me out. Brilliant,
mate. Dave's a proper inspiration. Like you say, he's a very quiet man. Like, he keeps himself to himself. Like, he's very much he just turns up on the rugby, but like
he's a hugely intelligent bloke.
Mate, he's an inspiration. Like you say, like anybody that comes on at that is incredible.
Yeah,
like, to come at that age. And
for someone who absolutely hated rugby, like
Did he hate rugby?
Oh my god, he hates rugby. But no, he's a top bloke, and I wish him every success. He's doing so well.
Oh mate, no, he's becoming fast like a cult hero, like a Pierre Schumann. He's just a little cult hero. I think front rows get that upset. Like Scotland and regional teams, like they take such pride in their front row. Like, obviously with the history of Scotland have got, and then you get people like Chunk, Alan Jacobson, and people like that. So you get such an affinity for them that it's like it really, like, they could be. I'm not going to say like rubbish, because to be an international player in Clash is rubbish, you still have to be pretty fucking good. But like,
well, no, you'd love like Will Grigg when he was at the last World Cup. You'd love that kind of. Obviously, Will Grigg didn't play at all, did he? But he still had a whole song about him. Didn't play at all in that World Cup, but it'd be great for someone like that to have a song that everyone knew around the world. But that's when rugby's finally got to where it needs to be, when there's a song being sung about it. But
yeah, quite right.
Fingers crossed.
It's like Prime. Who was it? Oh, do you remember like the old like Blackburn teams of old? And it's like Prime, like Michel Salgado and Morgan Gams Pedersen, people like that.
Yeah, that happened in rugby. That'd be unbelievable.
That might be an idea for a future question for the podcast. I'm gonna get you back on for a question. We're gonna make this. Do you know what? We're gonna start it right now, and we can do it. So we're gonna go for a rugby cult hero 15, like a cult hero starting 15. And then you just have to pick one player from any position. You can pick the first player from any position. This is not planned, so I want to see how Sean now deals with breaking this up in the edit. But
an absolute cult hero, someone who just like
in the world of rugby will always be renowned. Like somebody you've played with, make it somebody that's like.
Oh, this is so tough. There's so many different things going through my head now. PC. A cult hero, someone who's an absolute legend that played with Joe Marler.
Yeah, good show. Yeah. Great show.
Someone who's been banned from international rugby because he flicked someone's bollocks. That for me, and for someone who was shouting other players like during the game and not getting away with it just because he knew the referee, like things like that. Like he's trying to bring the old school back into current rugby, and he's probably getting more famous because of it. He's an absolute legend, and he is an inspiration as well, going through all the mental health stuff he has, but having those stories behind him as well.
Oh, no, I completely agree. There we go. Right, Joe Marler, you're officially the first name on the Over 80 Minutes podcast, Cult Hero 15. There we go. I'm now going to have to make up some cheeky graphic for this when we finish, and we're going to get that done. I can't wait for this now. I'm going to have to phone Callum and George back and be like, wait, do you fancy picking a player for a Cult 15?
Oh, mate, what can you say? What can you say?
Exactly. Right. Now, the big one. Tell me about Bristol Bears. What's it like? Because they are like everybody. They are at the moment like everyone's second favourite club.
So, we played Bristol. Sometimes with Bedford, we played against Bristol, and like we first half we did our best against them. It was all right. We conceded a few tries, and then second half they just look. It's funny because looking back on the game after I joined Bedford, I could see exactly what they did. So Bristol had the ability to have an A plan, a B plan, and a C plan, which is very, very hard with the layers. So I turned up at Bristol, and the big thing about Bristol is Pat's culture is very much it's family. It's all based on love, sacrificing oneself for the benefit of others. The whole thing is if you know about each other, know about their families, know about the children, you're gonna that last 2 minutes of a game or the last sit down, you're gonna do it yourself because you've got something in common with that person. Yeah. And that's where it came from. The team hasn't got the biggest, obviously it's got some big names now, but if you think about Exeter 5-6 years ago, there wasn't particularly huge names in that team, but they were successful in the culture, and everyone could perform the same. Everyone could pass, everyone could tackle, everyone could be the best of their ability, and they worked on that.
Yeah, it was like total rugby. It's like total rugby, isn't it? It's like, you know how they describe total football, like total rugby.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Like your number only exists for the start of the set piece and kick off.
No, exactly. It got to the point where and the coaches would come in as well. Everyone had a responsibility. Everyone was accountable to just know their role. So if every person in that team has, I don't know, say off a kickoff, everyone knows exactly what they're doing. They've got their role, and that's it. Off the kickoff, when it goes, everyone knows what they're doing again. So it's about, if something goes wrong in a system, you can tell exactly who it is, because it's just an individual thing. Nothing's really left down to think about it. And when I went in there, everyone talks about structure, and people don't like structure. And the whole thing is the structure at any club. It just allows you to have thinking time, because you know where you need to get to. Now I can just think about what I want to do when I get there. Whereas if you're like, I don't know, for example, say if someone's cleared out their 22, ball's been kicked back to the fullback. Forwards are kind of just like, where am I going? Kind of just running back, hoping the fullback does something. Whereas if you watch Bristol play, if the ball's been kicked, I guarantee you'll see you'll see certain players going straight to the edge, certain players coming to the middle, and they're ready to work on a phase straight away. Just because on counter attack, most teams are very susceptible to being line broken, as you saw Bristol did against Leicester. Let's not talk about the end of that Leicester game, but no, yeah. So,
I was going to ask you your opinion on that.
Oh no, mate, I'm happy to talk about that.
Carry on your story, and then I'll ask.
No. It's about Bristol did. That's the whole thing. Every player was upskilled to be able to pass and have the ability to do what they needed to do. So obviously, the whole thing was the 10. So Callum Sheedy's fantastic. All he needs to do is listen to what his 12 saying.
He is phenomenal.
Yeah, exactly, and he's like a robot because obviously you don't want your 10s having to look wide to see what's going on. You want to have the information coming straight in, that good information. So Pat calls it his commentators. He wants to have his 12 and 13 constantly commentating to make sure that the 10's got exactly what they need, and the wing has got the exactly what they need from the information coming across. And the forwards are just doing what they need to. So everyone's aligned in that, and that alignment between 2 and 9 and 10 and 9 and front row, back row, it's everywhere. Those little conversations are happening, and now they're probably one of the fittest teams in the league. When Kev Geary came in and did a huge job with them, and it was probably the toughest preseason I've ever done. Was that my last preseason? But
in the 2021, no,
the preseason before COVID, not last summer, but the summer before. Yeah, that was the hardest preseason we've ever done. Like the first week, like I was thinking, like my whole thing about preseason is it's never going to be as bad as the worst ones I've ever had. And that first week, I was like, oh my god, it got better though. The first week was the hardest week, but it got better. Yeah. Thank God. I usually as you get older, you can't just not train in off season. You can't just rock in and be like, yeah, I'll be fine. Some players can. I don't know how people do that. I'm not mentally strong enough to do that. I was an absolute. I just needed to make sure I did about 1,000 Broncos in the off season to make sure I was all right. But no, mate, they definitely got on something now. Now they've added some players. I mean, Semi Radradra is an absolute joke of a human being. It was his first try on the weekend against Leicester. That was phenomenal. Yeah, I've never seen someone hit a line in his depth. I've never seen it before in my life. There's no other centre on the planet I don't think that can play like that, and there hasn't been someone like that for years. Honestly, Sonny Bill Williams is amazing, but like Semi Radradra is faster than him.
I was about to say, I think we're about to have the same opinion on the Semi versus Sonny Bill debate, and I'd confidently say Semi's better than Sonny Bill.
I think they're different players. Like, I think, for example,
okay, I'll rephrase. I know which one I'd rather have in my team. I'd take Semi over Sonny Bill.
I think if we were playing like quite a tight. So, for example, if we were playing, I don't know, South Africa or something like that, I'd probably want Sonny Bill in the team just for that kind of physicality, grit in the midfield. But like when it comes to a team that's a bit open, it's a dry day, you'd go Semi Radradra all the time, or you could even put him on the wing or 13. Like, imagine Sonny Bill and Semi Radradra playing 12 and 13. Yeah. That's just horrific. That's just imagine defending him. Yeah, exactly. Like I would be a swinging gate if I was playing 12 or 13. I'd be like, after you, honestly, I'd happily look at your number all day.
Human turnstile. That is how I describe myself.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. The old speed bump. Just literally throw yourself at their feet. If you tackle them, you tackle them.
Mate, I'd be like, do you remember that video of that Tottenham Hotspur security guard? And he's just like, on you go. Like, doesn't even touch him. I mean, just after you try assist defender number 13. Sam
exactly. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Right, we got distracted. We were talking about Bristol as a club. Like, we're just talking about Bristol, and we just descended into a little Semi Radradra appreciation 10 minutes there.
Yeah. What Pat does is he gets players. For example, the year I was there, he basically went through the championship and went, who are players that are going to be good players, who are players that have been there and done it and got experience to help the players around them, and that's what he did. And some players now, like Jake Woolmore was playing for Lou said was playing for where was he? He was at Taunton. Played at Taunton for a long time down in the southwest. Went to Exeter for a little bit. Didn't do great at Exeter. Went back to Taunton, I think, and then went to Jersey. Did well at Jersey, and then him and Jake Armstrong got picked up by Pat, and they're both now playing first team rugby. And Jake Woolmore, he's played. He's almost at his 50th game, I think, and he's 27, and that's what he does. He's upskilled these players well. I know that. It's not all down to Pat. Pat kind of gives him the push, but it's up to the players to understand what they need to do, and that's how he does well.
Yeah, but
So,
it's I don't know if you've ever watched it. Do you watch the thing on Netflix? It was like the Rules of Life. It was like the coaches documentaries.
no, I haven't watched those, but
Right,
I
it's
will look now.
so there's like 5 of them, and there's one. It's I don't know how familiar you are with basketball. It's Doc Rivers, the coach.
I know who that is. Yeah.
Yeah, so he talks about his stuff with It's so the 2 I've watched, the one with him and the one with Jose Mourinho, and they both come from the exact same lines. They're like, I'm not here to teach the best players in the world how to play their sport. They know how to play it. I'm here to like teach them how to play as the team and help them grow. And it's very like that sounds very much like what Pat does.
The whole thing is you want a player to come into your program and leave a better, more rounded person and player. So you're never going to bring in someone who's a shit bloke. If they're a shit person, you're not going to want. Pat references all these players before he gets them. So for me, he spoke to loads of people about me, and luckily, they didn't say everything bad about me. So when I went for
he didn't interview Eben Etzebeth.
Well, no, luckily, me and Eben are as close as we are now.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So he spoke to a load of people, and people were very nice about me, and that's important because he wants good people in that environment. And if you're not a good person, you'll get found out, and he'll just get rid of you. And that's what you want. You want good people in a business, wherever, any sport, any business. You want good people that are going to help people around them and also grow themselves.
Mm-hmm. That's class. Right. Well, that sounds like you've had quite the career. You've listed off so many talking points. I could do a whole separate podcast just talking to you about stories about your career. Like, we could never get out of the changing room. We could just
that would be a very explicit podcast if we went through all the stories that I know heard. Yeah. Anyway,
the after 9 p.m. over an 8 minutes podcast. The after hours with Tom Lindsay.
That sounds like some kind of dodgy program online.
If it sells, it sells.
Some CD program.
I'm gonna ask you now. Like, it's a bit talk. So it's like, obviously you retired after that season or during that season. What's it like retiring as COVID? I know you spoke to Talking Rugby Union about this. It's a brilliant article. Anybody, if you get a chance to read it, definitely go read it. It's phenomenal. But so what's it like retiring and then like hitting COVID?
So,
like as a rugby player, like because the way the thing that draws to me when I see like rugby players, athletes retire, is you go from such a structure, and then it's a kind of, okay, now go and do it yourself, and you're kind of like, oh, this is new. Like, nobody's giving me a schedule of what I need to eat and where I need to be.
Well, the thing is though, like, I think when you're younger, people drum it into your head. Look, make sure you've got something sorted out for life after rugby, life after sport. Make sure you've got a degree, be it an MVQ, be it like an apprenticeship, wherever it's going to be. Making sure you got something sorted. When I was a kid, it was like, no, don't worry. I just want to play. I'm invincible. I'm going to play till I'm whatever. And as I continued my career, I saw like unbelievably class players just falling off the radar because of their injury. Tom Rees, unbelievable bloke, had to retire, tore his ACL, and tore his ACL again, and that was it. And then you've got players like that. Sam Jones played for England, was going to play for England. Horrific leg injury and retired. So that you had to have a reality check and realize that you could have one bad training session or whatever it could be, hurt your leg, whatever it is. Like Rob Horne playing for Northampton, like the poor bloke tore a nerve in his shoulder, and he's never going to play rugby again. He's never going to use his arm again. So it's horrible. It's horrible. No, of course, and there's terrible things like that, like Doddy Weir, all these kind of Tom Smith, all these players like that. So obviously, I spoke to more and more players, and I also realised that there's an opportunity to speak and make so many connections after games, during games, with sponsors, fans, and stuff like that. Sometimes players don't really want to talk to players after games or people after games. It's the best time to do it. Have a conversation, make those connections, and that's what I started doing. So when I was the last few years at Wasp, I started then going right. I started doing going out and doing some trial days with different people. Savills, went through McLaren's construction company, did some work with my father-in-law at his construction company. I started dipping my toe into bits and pieces, coaching and stuff like that. So ticking off things I didn't really want to do. So I was ticking off things that I wanted to try and then work out. Actually, I didn't like that. So when it got to the later years of my career, when I was 30, 31, I was coaching a lot. I've been coaching a long time. Then I got the opportunity to coach Bristol Bears women while I was still playing. I had 2 years left. I got the opportunity to train coach there, so I was doing that. So that went really well. And then also I offered to help coach a Colston school as well, rugby school. I helped do that in my time off. I actually spent 2 weeks there as just a freelance teacher and assistant there. So coaching, whatever. So I'm building networks there, doing bits and pieces. And so when it was coming towards the end of my career, or not my career, when it came to the last year of my contract, I was talking to my wife, Millie, and I said, look, I've got opportunities to go abroad. Could have gone to France, could have gone to Japan, America. But we love where we live. We love Bristol, and we didn't
keep
on
that. If you're familiar with American rugby, I want to talk about that because I think that's good of you. So I'll keep that written down.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I thought that I was like, well, I'm really enjoying it here. And I said, look, if Exeter come in and asked me to play, or Worcester or Gloucester, I knew the likelihood of that was quite low just because of my age and bits and pieces. So I was like, well, I don't really want to go back from the champ. I'd have to go to Hartbury. They train at 6 in, and then otherwise it'd be down to Pirates. It's not feasible. No. So I was like, well, look, I'm in good nick. I'm not injured. My body isn't falling apart. I think we'll knock on the head, and that's what we decided to do. And it was really nice to do that as a couple, because I think my wife, she did a podcast with the RPA with Matt Leake at the Rugby Players Association, and talked about how obviously your wives and girlfriends and everything like that follow you around the world. Like, obviously it's a sacrifice they make and they know what they're getting into, but it's still a very, very hard thing to do, to uproot yourself to another club. Yeah, for us it's easy. Well, we could do that. We're getting paid. You got 40 new friends straight away. But especially if you go to France or someone like that, your missus is then like, oh, who is she talking to? And she's quite isolated. So it's quite hard. So she's doing really well in Bristol with her job. We stayed here. So I had 2 jobs lined up. I spoke to Bristol Bears. Women wanted me to sign with them, and I'd be the forwards coach and an assistant head coach with Kim Oliver. And also Colston's were like, we want you to come in and we'd like you to head up basically upskilling teachers and how to coach and communicate with players. So that was something. It was almost like coaching CBD. That's what they wanted me to do. Obviously then COVID hit, and that job kind of got made kind of redundant, unfortunately, before I even got it. But the Bristol women's stuff, that was fine. We continued doing that, and I ended up signing with them. But it wasn't until late May that I found out I wasn't going to be involved with Bristol anymore because of COVID. No one knew what they were doing. I was also the RPA rep there as well, and that's when the 25% wage cut came in. That was a difficult time period as well. So I had to be the player liaison officer for them, and as the players, they wanted to talk to the board, and that was tough as well. So I was out of contract, and also I was then going to the Bristol board going, you can't cut 25% off because it's not legal, all this kind of stuff. So it was a really stressful period for myself and my wife, but it happened. I retired anyway, and I went into coaching. And the last year has been a very, very stressful, tough year, definitely. But would I change anything? No, because I've learned so much about myself. But if you transition from rugby and you've got nothing ready to go, especially last year, you're in a lot of trouble. Like, I always say that if you have to retire young, 22, 23, that's naive. But if you have to retire 34, 35, 33, and you haven't got anything sorted, that's blind arrogance for me. Like, if you've got a wife and kids, you owe it to your family, yourself, to make sure you've got something ready to go. Otherwise, you're going to put yourself under unnecessary stress, develop problems between you and relationships because you haven't put your time into something to do. Mate, all you have to do is get, I don't know, an MVQ in something. Like there are companies out there that will pay for you to get an MVQ or contacts, and there's people already doing stuff like that. There, for example, I think it's Tom Collins at Northampton. He has done his construction management, and I think he's 24, 25. And he's also got a contact with one of Northampton's sponsors, who's they're a construction company, and he does 1 day a week with them. And imagine 5, 6, 7 years down the line, you might do 2 days, 3 days, and eventually, when your salary starts to come down, you can transfer straight into exactly. Then that's the whole thing. The whole thing is you don't want to come out of rugby or sports and go into a job, and there's no way you can be like, oh, that's right, I'll go straight into a job. I was earning, I don't know, whatever I was earning. Say I was earning 50k. Don't worry, I'm going to go straight into a job. Be earning 50k straight away. Absolutely not. You'll be bottom of the run of the ladder again, maybe getting part-time wages. It's just, you have to have that reality check and make sure that you are thinking about that. And I think you should be doing it as soon as possible, because when you're a rugby player, or when you're a sportsman, you get everything free. Everything's free. Yeah. Everything, like a conversation with a CEO of a company, they want to talk to you because you're a rugby player. Like they're not going to want to talk to you because you played for Bristol 3 years ago. Like, why would I want to talk to you? You've got to make sure you're a rare commodity and people want to talk to you. Use people and make sure it's got to be a two-way street. Don't take because karma can be a horrible thing.
Exactly. Absolutely.
You've got to make sure you give back to them and see what you can do for them because it goes a lot further than you think.
I think.
Sorry,
I think
I preached there a little bit. Sorry.
Mate, I don't. It wasn't meant for me, but like, there's definitely a lot of people that can learn from that and listen. Like, I think once again, another little bit that people should listen. I think there's like you come out with some golden nuggets just from because me and you've only known each other for a brief. Oh no, me and you've known each other for almost a year now, actually, haven't we?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
well, not many face-to-face times, but I think you can say that about a lot of people. I've probably spoken to you and seen you more than my mum, so there you go.
Mate, I talk to every. That'll change. 25th of July, that'll change. We'll all be face-to-face.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Yeah. We're going to discuss that. I've got a plan for that because this will come out around that time. Obviously, people have had an incident of when we record these based on the fact we're talking about Bristol and Leicester and significant events, but when this will come out, they'll be good. Right now, I'm going to get it in the absolute neck from all my fans and the people I've met through work if we don't talk about women's rugby because I am a massive... I say behind the scenes mainly because nobody knows my name, but I'm a massive advocate for women's rugby. I think the stuff the girls do is incredible. Like you see when you hear the stories and it's like, I've used my 30 days holiday this year to go play in the Six Nations. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, I whinge if I don't get a day off so I can go and sit in the pub with my mates. So, but right. Women's rugby, just how much on the rise? Because you were playing for like you were playing for Bristol. No,
I didn't transition that way, but yeah, we go.
No, so you coached Bristol women's, and they were playing like I was watching the games. They were playing some of the nicest rugby. Obviously, Simi Pam's run sticks out for me as one of the highlights of the season. What's it like? Like, how good is women's rugby? Like, why should people be interested in women's rugby? Obviously, you're preaching to the choir with me, but like, let's just discuss women's rugby. Just how good is it? Like, you get speedsters like. I'm a huge fan of Jasmine Joyce as a player. I think she's phenomenal. Like when you get these players like this, like why are people not watching more women's rugby is the question.
So like firstly, this is the second women's team I coached. I coached the Cheltenham Tigers as well for a year and a half, and they were fantastic. I think the biggest thing about women's rugby is I don't think people realise that that it's on TV, people can see it now, live stream and stuff like that. A very small percentage of the teams that play in the Allianz Premier 15s, players, are full-time or even part-time. Like the England girls will be kind of full-time. So most of the big England girls run full-time, so they get paid a salary. They have to train, everything like that. But that's literally, well, I don't know, maybe 15% of the league, maybe 20%, and the rest are doctors, nurses, teachers. So basically, so obviously we had quite a few Welsh girls. And they were teachers, coaches. Obviously, they had Welsh training as well. So they train at Wales. They work all day Monday. They train at Wales at night, and work all day Tuesday, and train with Bristol, or if they couldn't, and Thursday, and then play on Saturday. All while driving from Cardiff, Swansea, places like that, which is like hugely. We had Gemma Rowland signed for us, fantastic player. Wasps legend, Wales legend. And she was before she joined us, she was driving from Newport to Saracens to Wasps, 2 or 3 times a week, and like it just wasn't feasible. Things like that, you don't understand the sacrifices they're making to play week in, week out, just for and they're not getting. Some of these girls aren't getting paid. Like they might be getting a fee or not be getting a match fee, but it's not going to even cost their petrol, like cover the petrol. So it's a game that I think is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And it just, the problem I spoke to quite a few stakeholders when I was at Bristol, so the universities and the colleges that are pushing in women's rugby. The problem is when you and I were 17, 18, the exposure we had already from the age of 9, coaching and stuff like that. I've spoken to players internationally now who are representing England, never been taught how to scrummage, never been taught how to jump past in a line out, the why of they do this in bits and pieces. And that's not because they're not being coached now. It's just they haven't got the opportunity to be coached to do that because there's so much going on. They only train Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights. But they also from the ages of 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 did not have the exposure to coaches that are upskilled enough in the women's game at that time the best coaches, unfortunately, are probably surrounded by the men's game. We need to help upskill the coaches to help upskill the players, and we need to have better programs. Like if you got a Premiership Academy pathway in the men's game, you probably have 8 or 9 different points of contact from 9 to 18, different DPP centres, county, junior academy, senior academy, integrated academy. When I was looking at the Bristol one, we had I think we had the county program, and then we had a schools program, and that was it. Like it's just unfortunately the funding is not where it needs to be for women's sports, and that's where it's going to have to get to. Like the RFU doesn't fund the insurance in the women's sport like they do in the championship, the men's championship. So
who was the player? Was it not a player who had to do a GoFundMe for an
it happened at a few teams, and unfortunately that's because some teams some teams, obviously got to be careful what I'm saying, but some teams
we're not saying anything to badmouth.
No, exactly. No, I'm not bad mouthing anyone, but what I'm saying, some teams have to, there's different medical insurance routes. You can have a pot to get money from. When that pot's gone, the players need to make sure they know they need insurance. So it's not always cut and dry, but it shows that the support for women's rugby is there.
Absolutely. The final only got like 15k less viewers than the Exeter game that was on that day or something.
Exactly, which is huge. And
congratulations to Harlequins, by the way. I know producer Sean is a massive Harlequins fan, so he was ecstatic when I was texting him about that. So Chelsea won the Champions League after, so he was buzzing with that as well.
Which one?
Someday for him.
Yeah, I wonder which game he'd have had if he had to choose which game. I wonder which one he would have gone for.
Quins, mate. I know him. He's Quins. I'll see if he's. Oh no, he'll tell us after. No,
but no, it was a fantastic game for rugby. It's just good that the league can continue. It was a very, mate, as I said to you, the girls were part time, and the hardest thing, mate, is COVID. Having to work, train with COVID as well. We had one of our young players who had to isolate for 40 days throughout the season.
40 days
because of her job. She was I think because she worked with quite a few people and different people coming in and out of the business. She had to isolate for 40 days. I was like, so that's like something out of the Bible. I mean, and she came back and played.
40 days and 40 nights.
Yeah, honestly,
single-handed practice.
Exactly. Yeah, like she honestly completed neck blitz. Not many players, not many people have done that.
All right, go on then. Who should everybody go? I obviously you're going to say come watch Bristol because we are Bristol and we are great, but like who's a player that people should be watching out for? Like because obviously you've you've got the England girls that are quite well known. Obviously Scarlett's making appearances on BBC. Mo Hunt is crushing commentary when she's doing commentary for games and things like that for Allianz. But who's these up and coming players that you want to watch? Like you want people to get a hold on and watch?
So
basically, blank checkbook. Who's coming to Bristol?
Well, no, I'll be honest. Like the recruitment that we did during the season, because obviously there was no other teams playing in the championship, so recruiting was quite tough. So I got in contact with certain teams and certain universities, and we managed to get a few girls from the under 20s come along. And Ella Loverbond, she started at 15 in the last game against Wasps. And she's in the under 20s now. I think she's going to be outstanding. She reminds me of Yannick Josion for Toulouse back in the day.
What a brilliant callback for recruiting as well.
Yeah, exactly. He was an unbelievable player, and she's got this something about her. She's also when Jordan Darcy came on the scene, he just seemed to ghost through defenses. She glides. She's a fantastic ball player. I think she's going to be a very good player, and I hope to see her do bigger and better things. Another girl, Grace Crompton. She's been playing rugby 2 years. She comes from a athletic background. I think she's faster than Jazz Joyce, but she's heavier than her as well. So like Jazz is obviously an unbelievable Olympian, fantastic player. But those two players I know at Bristol. But looking around at other teams throughout the season, Loughborough have got an unbelievable pathway there. I know they had a young seven who got injured this season as well. I can't remember her name. Apologies.
I've forgotten it, and I really should know it because I've spoken to somebody about her.
Yeah,
and I really should know it.
She's but the person for me who I really wanted to get to Bristol was Abby Burton. From Wasps.
She's phenomenal.
She for me, I think she's the best back rower in the country. I know she's in the England Sevens program right now, but there are no players I know that have got the dynamic skills that she does, and she understands the why of how to engage a player, how to put someone on the back foot, how to manipulate defenses, and also her natural leg drive, natural body height in the tackle. I had a good conversation with her. She's really down to earth, like fantastic amount of experience as well from her rugby league background as well. Mm-hmm. But I can see her being the future number 8 for England, and like she was for me. I spoke to Giselle about her at Wasp as well, and I just thought she's fantastic. And I think the future is very bright with the England pathway. Just hope the league, because the league is probably, there's probably too many teams in the league to have the amount of players you need in English rugby. Mm-hmm. That's why teams it's tough. Like you're gonna, obviously Bath and Newcastle are going to be pushing for teams now. London Irish are as well. So are they going to make it bigger, or are they going to replace the team? So that's a question as well.
I think if they change the rules, because obviously I remember me and you spoke to it. We mentioned the play. I won't out them on here but you were telling me about like the registration rules. I think if they got rid of that, I think the players would be fine, because like you say, you've got the England Pro, or not England Pro. You've got English players that can make enough of a living to justify how it goes, and then you've got these registration rules. But the fact is that you've got Scottish girls obviously from up here that are uni students, and then they're going and playing international rugby, or their accountants going and playing international rugby. And I think it's like you said, it's like if you got, like you said, if you found a way to show that it was there, and you could actually get these players in. Like, I don't think the league's a problem. I think it's getting the players playing at the pro sort of standard every week.
Mate, it also comes down to the fact that like Wales haven't got any, like they haven't got a decent premiership for the girls. That's another thing as well. So they're having to go other places. Scotland's exactly the same. They want to push this European competition eventually to make it a bigger game, and that way you're going to have better players coming through from England as well. So you're saturating the league with different countries, which is not a bad thing. But when you've got 9 players from one country playing in the same team, that becomes tough. So there's a balance to strike with it. But I think realistically, I think the games in the women's league it's just behind a bit when it comes to the logistical side of things, a bit like the men's was in 1998. I'm not saying we're at 1998, 99 now when we're professional, but we're not anywhere near 2021, if you know what I mean. So there needs to be a rethink there, and I think eventually they're going to have most games streamed. I know there's talking about that. They need the TV deals to get sorted, but mate, it's a very exciting time, and I think the Olympics will help as well, and the World Cup next year in New Zealand, like that's going to be unbelievable.
No, I'm like you. I'm really looking forward to this. I think it's only on the up, and I think the sooner people get on board with it, it's only going to get better. So,
no, exactly, and it's exciting for the players that are putting in the amount of time and energy now.
So, if you're watching and you have a local women's team near you, or you have a women's team sister to your men's team in the Premiership, if your men's team's playing away and you can't get to the game, go watch the women, man. Go watch the women's game. Like, it's just as good rugby. Anybody who tells you it's not has clearly never watched the game. Like, it's good rugby.
Definitely.
Yeah, go watch your rugby. Right, let's talk about something else. What should we talk about now? You said US rugby. How were you almost ending up playing in the US? Have you been watching the MLR?
I haven't watched much of it, but I've got so many mates that are playing over there. So I know boys at the in New York and the Blues there. A good mate of mine, Rob Hoadley, not a good mate of mine, sorry. Rob Hoadley I used to play rugby with, and I'm still in contact with. He used to play for Wasps, absolute legend at Wasps. He ended up going to Wales with Sean Edwards and basically shadowing him for years. He ended up being in charge of San Diego. He was the one who came up with he helped the franchise build it from the bottom ups, and he's just left, and now he's on the USA Eagles coaching team now. So I spoke to different players around it, and I knew Don Waldock went over there. He played for Ohio. So I know that they're looking at making a Hawaiian team. I've heard that as well.
Sign me up.
I don't know. I've heard I thought there was. I think COVID put the kibosh on that, because I think there's a couple of boys that were ready to just be like, right, I'm going and playing in Hawaii for a few years.
Yeah. Talking about playing rugby for free. If you're covering my cost of living in Hawaii, I'll play rugby. Like, I will shift so much weight, and I will become so good at rugby if you tell me I'm living in Hawaii.
oh my god, yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah. So it's just a demographic. Like I played rugby in Denver when I was the Saxons, and Denver it's just unbelievable cities there, and the infrastructure at these clubs is only going to get better. Like JP Doyle, he's absolutely flourishing over there. Like as a referee, he's fantastic.
I tweeted it. That was the best signing the MLR made. That whole, like, you had all these high profile names, and JP Doyle went, and I was like, that is the best signing anybody will make, hands down.
Yeah. Oh, JP's a top bloke. I went to uni with him, and I've had good conversations with him, and he's just a really down to earth bloke. And I think going to America is probably one of the best things he's ever done. He's just over there, he's enjoying rugby again, and it's great to see. And the MLR is benefiting from that. And hopefully there'll be a way that referees in England, or there's a pathway there where they can upskill themselves coaching over there. Because I know COVID has been very tough, because the RFU haven't been able to fund as many referees, and you've unfortunately had referees that were refereeing in Nat 3 or local Gloucester 1 or something like that, having to referee bigger games, and they haven't had the opportunity to get better or be managed. So that is tough, and it's definitely a place where coaches can go over there as well and just learn their trade and learn different bits and pieces. So leagues like that, obviously Japan's a very different kettle of fish, but leagues like the MLR are only going to get bigger and better.
I think like you said, like in terms of what it could be for a growth league, because like you said, I think Ben Foden's Ben Foden.
He's in New York, yeah.
Yeah, I was confusing with Phil. I almost said Phil Foden. He's not going to play for New York. No, Ben Foden. Ben Foden's a great example of one age of the scale of like the player coaching, because you're playing such like, it's a good standard of rugby there, and you're getting to coach and play, and it's like we were discussing earlier. It's like a nice ease to your career instead of doing A-League Monday night piss and rain. Where are we? Oh, we're in Vegas this weekend, lads. What are we gonna do? And it's stuff like that.
If you're single or you haven't got kids, and your missus works freelance, or I don't know, has got a remote business, it's perfect. Especially to enjoy a new way of life, the different connections you can make. And Chris Robshaw went over there, didn't he? He played for San Diego. I know, unfortunately, he dislocated a shoulder after his first game, but the experience of going over there, and like it's just a great way to have a bit of a swan song in a different league, different environment with different people.
Or even like, I think there was a young guy that went over there. He went to New England. New England's my adopted team in the MLR, and he went over there. He was like ridiculously. I don't think he may even be younger than me. I'm 24, and he went to New England to play, and he was like really highly touted. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's like, I think it's a good way for that as well. I think it's like if you're a regular squad player, but you're not like a starting 15 or on the bench consistently. In terms of the exposure you get as well, because obviously with the Rugby Network showing every game free, I think like a young person, they'd be, like you said, if you're single or your missus is freelance, you'd be stupid to not try to get a year loan or a year contract there.
Well, I think it's something else as well. I've been thinking about it as well. The MLR what they need to do is they need to get into the schools recruitment. So when it comes to
they've got one now. They've got like a whole collegiate thing, like like the NFL draft. They've got a US.
Yeah, no. So no, what I meant was. In England, they need to have someone coming over and talking to the big rugby schools and saying, look, you can either be in an academy for the next 3 years, or you can come to America and play in the MLR, get that kind of exposure. Or even, for example, I had a friend that was younger when he got offered a full degree, a full scholarship to go play rugby in Hawaii, and he turned it down. And things like that, you can go to America, get a degree, get a scholarship, and experience that kind of elite high performance level that's different to England over there, while getting a degree, and then come back and you've still got your experience, and you've made lifelong relationships, and also you've lived in a different environment. So it's just, there are ways of doing it, and not necessarily being in an academy from the age of 16 to 20. Sometimes that doesn't necessarily do you any wonders, to be honest. You don't really develop any life skills.
No, I agree. I think there's no one singular path to doing it. There's so many routes to doing everything, and then watch.
Well, the whole thing is, mate, if you're good enough, you're going to get picked up.
Yeah, exactly that. If you're good enough, people will watch. It's like Cal today. Obviously, we're recording this on the day our good friend Cal got released by Wasps, but Like I messaged him straight away. I was like, I don't think you've got anything to worry about, mate. You're good enough. It's not happening. But like somebody like Cal, he's what, 23? He's younger than me, mate. Like, go do a year and a half in the MLR, get a good tan on you, and just.
Right, you can go to France, whatever you want to do. It depends on what's important, what's going on.
Right, coming to the end of the podcast now because I've made Tom talk, and it's always a good podcast when you forget you're the host, and every now and again, as he comes to the end of the sentence, you go, "Oh shit, I'm the one asking him the next question." So what we're going to talk about? Let's talk about outside rugby. If you could pick one sport you could have played when you were younger, what would it have been?
Oh, this is always talks about in rugby circles, and you have like the big ones like golf, Formula One. But I honestly, like, I thought about it. I think like rodeo. I'd like to have been like an unbelievable, like, do you know what I mean? Like just 10 seconds of your life, holding on with dear life with one hand.
Yeah.
And you're an absolute legend. Like, and you get to work, and you get to just like a cowboy. So that was one line of thought for me.
I never would have got that in a million years if you told me to guess. I never would have gone rodeo.
I was just thinking outside the box. Some boys will say, "I'd love to be a professional darts player," but you can see the angle there they're going for.
Yeah, pints isn't allowed on stage anymore, so that's probably
not anymore.
Less frequent than it was.
Yeah, 10 pre-match pints isn't allowed anymore. Yeah. It was that, or it would be like, I think it would have been, what did I say I wanted to do? It was like either all that or a sevens player. I'd love to have been like fit enough to play sevens, just because you could. Is that cheating? Because I've said rugby again. Is that cheating? You can say yes.
I'll give you it because you said rodeo.
Okay, rodeo. Yeah, I'll stick to my rodeo.
I'll give it because you said rodeo. But if you'd said
working off for 10 seconds, no, working off for 10 seconds, I'm happy with that.
How did rodeo come about? Was it just like a young thing, or is this like a Joey and Friends? I want to be the first like astronaut, space cowboy, and it's just like I just want to be that.
Yeah, playing with my special friend Marcel. No, I've been watching a series on Amazon Prime, and one of the characters is like an all-time rodeo star, and I thought it looked quite cool. Saying that, last time I did a bucking bronco, I pulled a bit of rope off, and I had to pay it back at the bar. So I don't know. I'd have to it probably wouldn't be a stallion. I'd be doing it. It'd be doing some kind of cow or some kind of cattle doing it. That's probably some. I'm a bit heavier now than I was, so put it that way.
You'd be fine then. You'd be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Mate, a bit of stuff for people when they're trying to unwind here. What's your favorite like stress reliever when you're trying to get away from the world? It's like what's your good just. I don't want to think about rugby. I don't want to be on my phone. What am I doing? Like, what does Tom Lindsay do to get away from the world?
I really enjoy walking. I'm really into. So during lockdown, when we could go outside, I just spent like 3 or 4 hours walking around Bristol. The amount of walks you do, the places you find, and just seeing a different culture around the city. And it's something I wish I got into. Like, everyone talks about fat burners and stuff like that when you're a rugby player. This front row club, they're always either trying to, there's not many people on, like, apart from like Max Laheath, who absolute Shredzilla.
Mate, how good are his interviews? How his Twitter account, maybe he will end up in a cult 15 in 20 years time. Like, he will be.
If you Google Zig or YouTube Zig and Zag from the Big Breakfast like years ago, that's what he's like. He's completely off the rails. He's such a good bloke. But he does, honestly, I would pay to see that bloke going to Love Island or Big Brother. Like, it would be
absolutely
TV gold. But like, yeah, he's like him, Nick Orterat. They're absolute specimens. If you're in the front row, you're always making sure your skinnies are good. You're trying to anyway, or you're trying to lose weight. So if I'd known that when I was younger about the walking, and not everyone thinks like going for a walk is like pointless, but no, I really enjoy walking. It helps me kind of refocus, helps me just put things into perspective, and you just get the buzz and that feeling of I've achieved something today.
No, that's a great answer. I really should do it. We take walking for granted right here. I don't know if you've heard the famous song about the rolling hills of the Borders, but if you're looking for good walks, make sure you come up to Scotland, and then just the universal standard of 25 minutes south of Edinburgh, and you're just left with rolling hills. Perfect.
So are you Border Reivers territory?
Yeah, mate, that was my first ever rugby game. My first ever
Border Reivers. Wow.
Mate, down at Netherdale, down at Gala on a Friday night. I remember my first ever PE teacher. We started playing rugby, and I didn't like. We grew up as we didn't play rugby until I was like 12, and then it was it must have been a bit before that. My primary 6 teacher was like, "Get to the borders. This is like pro rugby." So we went there, and that was it. Hooked.
Oh wow! My first experience of Scottish rugby was playing. It's Glasgow. Glasgow don't play at Ferndale. Is it Ferndale? Where is
No,
that?
they don't play there anymore.
Oh my god!
Scouston.
Yeah, that was an experience, a social experience. Put it that way.
Did you have a night out?
No, Glasgow. Did I have a night out? No, we didn't. But I do remember the clientele hanging around the stadium were suspect. put it that way. Pre and post game.
Mate, that's exactly how it should be. I'm gonna make a mandatory blokes night out in Scotland for one night. If I'm coming to, that's what we're talking about next. We haven't talked about that yet. Kick for a cause. How did you end up being the goalkeeper for our team? Hopefully the team sheet's released by now, but you are goalkeeper for Kick for a Cause.
So when I was younger, I did play a bit of competitive football, and I was a goalkeeper.
Oh, decent! We're gonna win. No, we're doing.
It didn't. I suppose the reason was I was probably about 18 stone, and the goal was. It looked like a widely fitting kind of dress on me. That's how big I was. So hopefully, I feel that obviously it's and I enjoy playing a bit of goalkeeper. I really did enjoy it. So I said to Tom, and I spoke to you obviously, and I was like, look, I haven't run for a long time. Like, I'm not saying I'm unfit, but like, last thing I want to do is
don't worry.
walk away with my hamstrings kind of following me. So no, I really enjoyed it. I was a huge Peter Schmeichel fan when I was younger. Same birthday as Peter Schmeichel, absolute legend. I was like, you look back at like teams like that, and you're like, why in God's name did I not keep those jerseys? I had some of those goalkeeper jerseys, mate. Those unbelievable, like you contrast and your TV's gone, but no, that's exactly what it was supposed to look like. Or having a zip as a collar. Who thought about that? That's a ridiculous idea. But look, it looks amazing. Functionally terrible, but it looks amazing. So that's why I enjoy goalkeeping as well. So I'm looking forward to buying some new goalkeeper gloves, some new boots as well. I know that Matt Jess is fully going for the Alice band.
He is buzzing for this game. Like, I did not think, like, you see when he signed it up and he was like, kickabout. I was like, yeah, mate, I'll come down for a weekend with the boys, have a kickabout. And then you see like Jesse in the chat, and I'm like, I'm half expecting him to like send me a fitness regime at some point.
I really hope he like has a complete like a different kind of variation all over. So I'm looking for some like Robbie Fowler kind of like nose strips. I want a head guard for Petr Cech. I just want all kinds of stuff. Hopefully,
I want the classic like Peter Osgood shorts that like they're barely like legal in any sort of like way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I know what you mean. If anyone acts like Vinnie Jones and like grabs someone's bollocks at the kickoff, that probably wouldn't go down for the charity. But look, maybe the next game.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm really enjoying it. Saying that though, when I was like, yeah, I'm keen for it. I was like, oh, where is it again? So I googled it, and I was like, oh, I need to seem to get a plane there. I didn't realize where it was, but I don't care. I'll enjoy it.
I was the same. That typical like I'll sign up for it and then I'll worry about the logistics later. And then you look up the logistics and you're like, oh yeah, I've not thought that one through, but yeah, we're doing it now. We've signed up.
So I've planned all the service stations I want to stop out. There's some service stations I haven't done yet, so I'll complete that kind of sticker book of service stations. But there you go.
Yeah. I'm planning the night out, so we're fine.
Oh, brilliant! Fantastic.
Just mandatory pipe.
So turbo shandies and iron brew all night, is it?
That's the only thing you need.
Just quietly.
Yeah, that's sensible. 10 to 15 sensible ones, and then we'll go out and play. Then it will be bottles of Buckfast for all of you. All the first time Buckfast.
Why is Buckfast huge in Scotland when Buckfast Abbey is about 30 minutes down the road from me in Bristol? Because
you lot just aren't made of the stuff that can drink it.
I know that it's an acquired taste, and essentially it's like I've heard it's like edibles nowadays. But yeah, I've heard good things about Buckfast. I haven't had any Bucky for years, and
the last time I had it was my uni initiations, and I feel so bad. I can't I definitely, Dennis, if you're still watching, I owe you a pair of boat shoes because we had to do it. So we were doing it, and we had like 6. I think they were Belgian by the end. We had 6 Belgian boys in the team, but we just thought they were French. So we were in the middle of Grassmarket in Edinburgh, which is like where they based Diagon Alley, just down from where they based that. So it's like lovely old time looking at thing. And we were all singing the French national anthem. We were in shit shirts that had the sleeves ripped off, rugby shorts, an item of women's clothing, and rugby socks, as you do. And we had to sing the French national anthem. But while you weren't singing, we were all stood in the line, and you had to down your bottle of Buckfast. It was like one of the half bottles.
Oh, okay.
So you had to down that, and I'd never had Buckfast before because I'm adopted Scottish. Like I'm English masquerading as Scottish, but I live Scottish, so I say I'm Scottish. So we were doing that, and I was thinking, and all I'd heard is this tonic wine is delightful, and I literally was. So I was down in the bottle. Obviously, you don't want to make a mess of the town. We're very respectful. So we're one of the club captains holding up a bin liner in front of you. So if you are going to be sick, you're going straight in the bin bag. I got right to the bottom, and I was like, you know, when you're looking at the bottom of the bottle through the bottom of your eyes, and I'm sat there going, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be hailed a legend. I'm going to do it. As soon as the last bit hit my throat, my body just went, yeah, we're not accepting this as part of our bodily system. So I went straight down, missed the bin liner completely, and threw up all over my club captain's shoes. And I was like, I was expecting the text the next morning, like, yeah, don't come back. I was like, oh no, I've ruined it. I was like, Jenny, like, you know, when you wake up in the morning with the fear, I was about 20 minutes away from texting my mum saying I'm gonna have to drop out and I'm gonna have to go find a new uni because I'm definitely not welcome back.
Just text your mum, help.
Yeah.
Help.
Feeling fragile, don't think anyone likes me. Can I come home?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, help.
But no, I will be spending. We've all been there. Yeah. I will be bringing Buckfast for everybody for the game.
Oh my god. Brilliant. I'll make sure I bring you some new boat shoes then.
Yeah. Oh, boat shoes will be mandatory. The 2018 Love Island night out attack.
Oh god.
Right, mate, we're getting to the end. So we're going to do a nice little bit of quickfire questions just to get the real Tom Lindsay. No time to think, no time to media train his answers. We're just going to quickfire them. Right, so we're going to start off. Easy one. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Strong. Beer or cider?
Beer.
Bristol are going to hate you.
If it's a really, really cold beer in a cold glass, can't beat it.
Yeah, very true. Especially on holiday in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Night out or night in?
Night in.
Ooh. Movies or gaming night in with the boys? So night in with the missus or night in with the boys?
Night in with the missus.
Strong. If she can hear you, you're getting definite brownie points for this one. Right. Arms or chest day?
Arms.
Strong answer again. Movies or TV series?
Oh, I'm an absolute movie buff. I literally watch films all week long.
Right, bonus question. Favorite film of all time?
One favorite film?
Yeah.
Oh.
If you have a series of films, I'll have a series of films. But
okay, fine. Pulp Fiction, Blade Runner, Alien.
Strong. Three strong choices. Right. Score a try or try save and tackle? Or is a bonus one for you, scrum the opposition 20 metres over the try line?
No. I'd do a try saving tackle.
You're the first person to say that.
From a scrum. Like, if you can make the try saving tackle from a scrum, you've done very well.
There you go. Right. Playing or coaching?
Social playing, professional coaching.
Strong. How'd you like your steak cooked?
Medium rare.
Good. And right, go to action or a rom-com?
Action.
Really?
Action, absolutely, yeah. Like, I'm not a big fan. Rom-coms, yeah, I'll happily watch a rom-com, but like, there's like 20 rom-coms that I could name. Like, my missus absolutely loves. Like, she's got like a list of 10 rom-coms that just a go-to, and I suppose it just like, when it gets to the point where you know the words, like, I mean, you know the script pretty well. That's kind of it. But you still get a laugh with special ones. But prefer an action.
Fair. That's very
homoerotic. I love that.
Homosexual. That's what I call it.
Homosexual. Yeah, definitely.
Right. Now that we've found the quickfire questions about you, we're about to see what you think of your teammates with the teammates section.
Okay.
This is where you get to sell a bunch of boys down the river. So, right, we're starting good. Right, teammates with Tom Lindsay, hardest tackler. So this can be players or players you've coached. So you can, if you've seen a coach player.
Dan Ward-Smith used to play for Wasps. He used to play for Bristol as well. Like an absolute mutant of a bloke. He had to retire, unfortunately.
Yeah. Folds people like cheap suits. I love it.
Oh, honestly, yeah. He sat more people down than a game of musical chairs. Like he's one of those blokes who hit you if someone hits you and you've got a tackle pad and you're hurting, you know he hits hard. So Dan Ward-Smith for me was the hardest tackler I've ever faced.
Amazing. Who's got fastest feet?
David Lemmy.
Like,
David Lemmy was a joke.
Really?
For a small bloke, him and Christian Wade probably got the best feet.
Ooh, I forgot you played with Christian. Like, I thought that would be. Ooh.
Both
Who's a
of them,
who's a human turnstile? When you see the guy running at him, you're just thinking, yeah, right, try under the posts. These are the questions I'll live for, because everybody's had the same reaction if they just look away and they just go, oh.
Oh God. Right, Andy Good. So Andy Good wasn't the best tackler technically. However, when he came back from retirement, it's like he was a different person. He was jackling, he was tackling people. So I think Goody in his prime, he was never known for his tackling. That's why Neil Back was in the team for Leicester. But for what he lacked in his tackle tech, he was an unbelievable cult hero and fantastic rugby player.
Yeah. Got it, right. Andy Good is the human turnstile. Right. Who's most up for a night out? Most player that you've ever had that was just like, it could be Tuesday at 3:30, you're doing conditioning, and he just goes, fancy a pint?
Ed Jackson.
Nice.
Without a doubt. Ed Jackson, yeah. And Ed Jackson and Charlie Davis both played with me at Wasps, absolute legends.
Scout professionals, I love that.
Yeah.
Right. Who can't handle a night out?
Or who can't handle a night out? Do you mean someone who smoked bombs or someone who always come but was an absolute liability?
You can do it's so somebody you can't. When I think of somebody who can't handle a night out, it's the person that's in the taxi before like the streetlights have even come on. But if somebody smoke bombs, you can out them for smoke bombing as well. George Taylor outed Matt Scott for smoke bombing.
Yeah, I know. Oh, Matt Scott. Oh, Scotty. Oh
God.
Matt Scott.
Might have been Matt Scott.
I don't know, because I remember I was at Gloucester with Matt Scott. I can't remember him on socials really, because I was usually the liability. Oh, it was terrible a night out. There was a bloke who played for Wasp called James Brooks, and like I remember he was being such a nausea on a social that one of the boys had to knock him out and put him under the table. He woke up about half an hour later and just cracked on. Yeah, but
that's going to be a story for Tom Lindsay too. Tom Lindsay episode 2 is going to be a story.
Yeah, I've got a few of those. Yeah.
Worst fashion sense in the squad that you ever had as a player?
Oh my God, worst fashion sense.
Who's the guy that turned up and you thought, where the hell did you buy that? And who told you it was a good idea?
Max Laheath had some niche fashion sense, but like to be fair, he could have worn like a set of curtains and he'd look good because he's absolutely shredded. So, oh God, he was just a terrible fashion sense. Oh my God! Look, John Afoa basically he wears anything that was retro, so I'd go John Afoa. It's usually a pair of like boot cut jeans with one of his 1,000 pairs of trainers that he's like bought off eBay over the last 20 years, a t-shirt and maybe like a check shirt. So I'd go John Afoa.
You can't believe a check shirt. Check shirt is a successful day out.
Yeah,
that's a successful. I
suppose. Yeah, I think that's the universal. I don't want to be cold, but I don't want to look like I'm worried about being cold, so I wear a check shirt.
Yeah, very good point. Right, worst lockdown lids. Who from the? I suppose this doesn't really apply to you because the girls came through. I don't know how this one snuck in here, but was there any of your mates? We've just got any of your mates that you spoke to from the old rugby days, and you just went, "Who's coming in with an awful haircut here?"
Oh, okay. Well, it was usually some of the academy boys. Like they just do each other's hair, and I think it was. I'm trying to think. I feel sorry for him, but Blake Boyland, young scrum half for Bristol.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was even a lockdown lid. I think he actually paid for it.
No!
Like I think he got it graded, but it was almost like a reverse mullet. Like it'd gone too far up, and then he almost it looked like do you remember Ronaldo from the World Cup?
Yeah, classic R9. Classic R9.
It was like that, but a little bit bigger. So I don't know. It was like someone. It's like he'd gone to see a groundsman at a putting green and asked for just whatever he saw in front of him. I'm surprised he didn't have a little flag on top. But no, it was funny. But he got it sorted eventually. Just shaved it off. But like boys go to some rogue barbers just to save some money, and for an extra £2, I'd rather have someone cut my hair that I know that's used a pair of scissors before.
Who was the biggest joker, like slash prankster, and who was the one that was always just playing pranks?
Elliot Daly when he was first at Wasps. I reckon people left the club because of him, staff, because there was a period of time where he'd like hide in cupboards and just jump out on people and scare people, and like we had conditioners that just had to leave because he couldn't deal with him. He was a big prankster. I used to do a lot of pranks on away trips. And I almost retired Ashley Johnson. I thought it was Joe Simpson's one of my best mates. He's at Gloucester now. And I broke into his room thinking it was his room, and I made the bed upside down. So I turned the bed upside down so the legs were facing up, but I managed to make it so it looked like it was perfect. So I went into my room and I was like, really like giddy, waiting to hear someone go, ow. And next thing I know, I hear a massive bang and like, oh my God. And it was Ashley Johnson. He jumped on the bed to lie down after a long trip. And next thing I know, he's in the physio room trying to get sorted, and he was starting the next day. And I never told him it was me, but oh my God, I think he broke the bed as well. I just felt terrible. But yeah, Joe Simpson's quite a bad prankster as well. He used to go in everyone's toilets, and I don't know if you know what a reverse shit is.
I don't know if I want to know, but I'm going to ask you to explain it now.
It's basically imagine going for a poo facing the cistern, so it won't drop in the water. It will just sit. He used to do that all the time. And I know that sometimes in hotel rooms as well, like the mirror. Sometimes the mirror in the bathroom can reflect the mirror in like the hallway. Yeah. So if someone's walking past, they can see you. And obviously, if you're facing the cistern, you can look at the mirror as well. I think it was on like a 20s camp, and Nigel Redmond walked past, stopped, looked at the mirror, and Joe Simpson's there like laughing, naked. And I don't think they said anything to each other. They just one of those. I never saw anything. That we won't say anything ever again. Yeah.
I want nothing to do with this.
I saw it, but I didn't see it. So yeah, Joe Simpson was a good prankster as well.
Right, Joe Simpson and Tom Lindsay are the two best pranksters in Tom Lindsay's time in the professional rugby career. Who's the hot stepper? Who's the best dancer? Changing room, big win, 50 points smacked on the rivals. Who's the one that's got who's the one that's just toe tapping in the middle of the changing room?
Who's got the best moves? Oh God. Christian Wade had decent moves, but you can imagine why the bloke had style. What can I say? Just an all round top bloke, and he could dance. You'd have the other boys that just couldn't dance, who would just stand in the middle of the room, just kind of very James Haskell, the classic James Haskell. But I can't think else who's a good dancer. Or whenever I think about after the end of a game or a big game, I always think about Richard Barrington. You'd follow him to the gates of hell and back every time Saracens win the final or something like that. He's there celebrating in the middle of the change room. So you always need someone like that in a team. But I know it's not dancing, but Richard Barrington for me is someone who would
that counts. Yeah, hot stepper.
Yeah,
he initiates a night out.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, who's the lad? I've wrote it here as skips legs, but who's the lad that you never see in the gym, but he's somehow massive? You just never see him in the gym, but you just every time you look at him, you go, "I swear you've put on about 10 kilos of lean muscle."
Okay, there's two different ways of thinking about this. It's Alan Powell. Sorry, not Alan Powell. Sorry. No, it's not Alan Powell. Sorry, that's different. Alan Powell's one of my coaches when I was a kid. Sorry, but Powell, he used to play for Lions as well. He was an unbelievable Nick. Always an unbelievable Nick. Always got bigger. Always got leaner. But I'm going to leave it there. But he was, for me, he's another cult hero for me. Obviously, what he did with his golf cart and stuff like that. Him and I got in trouble. In Poland. We flipped a car together, but ended up being a delivery car for a pizzeria that couldn't work the next day. So we got in trouble. We got in trouble for that. But no, he's an unbelievable bloke. But Schultberger, he didn't do weights.
No,
hated doing weights, but was an absolute enforcer. You'd go around the gym at Sarries and just do rehab and stuff, and a lot of maintenance stuff for him. But he didn't do many weights, and for someone how attritional and how physical he was, I was outstanding. There's not many boys that do many big weights, but I remember Schultberger watching him, and I was like, how this bloke was won World Cups. He's dominating New Zealand,
Yeah.
and like he almost ended up being a cricketer. Didn't really want to play rugby. He was a cricketer, and someone gave him a go and ended up playing for South Africa. So
it must be nice to be that good at two sports. Huh?
When I find out, I'll let you know. I'm just about good. I was almost all right at one sport before I retired. But there you go.
You're almost goalkeeper as well. From what?
Yeah, exactly. Well, look, exactly. There's still time.
When the scouts come on July 25th, we'll
mate, exactly. Who knows?
Do a Dave Cherry. You might be playing at the next World Cup for England.
Mate, exactly. Why not? Why not? Yeah. I know they're having trouble at the moment with keepers, so I'll just keep my phone on loud. Hopefully, Gareth Southgate will give me a call.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Who's the future gaffer? Who is one of the players that you're sat looking at and you're just like, you've got coach written all over you? Like, just knows rugby, loves rugby, spoke rugby, lived rugby, and was just like, I want to coach when this is over.
Let me think. I saw that with Rob Hoadley, but he is now a coach. So a current player who's probably going to... Oh, let me think. Ooh, Mark Irish. So Mark Irish at the moment is a forwards coach at Worcester. Obviously, John Thomas was at Bristol was with me, and so was Mark Irish. They both went over to Worcester and ran the forwards. And obviously, JT is now head coach. I could see Mark Irish becoming a director of rugby, but he's just so calm and calculated. And he was very honest. So I'd love to see him become a director of rugby or head of rugby at some team, or at least an international coach. He just knows rugby and he knows how to talk to people and get the best out of them.
Yeah, that sounds like perfect director of rugby right there. Right, who's best tunes? Who's the guy that's got the best music taste for post game or pre game? Obviously, whoever's not firing out Daniel Bedingfield 20 minutes before game.
That actually made me feel better about myself. Let me think. Who's got decent tunes? Because you always want someone, like, especially in a gym, someone to put on decent tunes and not have someone shout next. Like, and that always happened, or bang a gong. Sometimes you'd have a gong in the gym and someone would just bang the gong to be like, get that next song off, or get that. Yeah. Let me think. Jan Thomas. Jan Thomas has got, although he's got the voice of an angel, he has got an unbelievable music taste. Players you wouldn't expect it from the Dancing Bear, but his music taste was fantastic, and he used to get the boys going for the forwards gym. So yeah,
nice.
If you can see John Afoa toe tapping, you know something's going well.
I'd be so scared just trying to see John Afoa seal of approval. I just feel like, John, if you just make any requests, it will just go on straight away. The
thing is, though, the whole thing is, like, if you're like, I've got a great playlist, no matter what you're playing, boys will be like, no, next, get it off. Yeah. Give me the best song in the world. Now get it off. Just to kind of bring it
be a song they've requested, but it's because you put it on. They're just like, no, next.
Well, it's saying that one of the young bats came in, is like, everyone found out that he was a drum and bass DJ. So they were like, fine, yeah, whack it on. Honestly, it was like a drum and bass DJ from a pirate radio station from like the late 90s. Like, it was the quality of music was awful. It was just, I like drum and bass, and it was no pendulum, put it that way. It was horrific. And I think he got asked to leave the gym. He didn't just get asked to turn his music off. He got asked to leave the gym and make him do his weights outside in the rain, just because that's how disappointed the boys were. So there you go.
It's tough growing up in the academy. It's tough growing up.
You got to earn your stripes. Earn your stripes.
Exactly. Right. Who's hard as nails? Who's the one guy you're like, I would never fight him in a month of Sundays?
Let me think. Who was hard as nails? Richard Hibbard plays like on the line. He doesn't really care about his body. Puts his body on the line over and over again. In a street fight, though, I don't know like what it'd be like in like a street fight. Obviously, from my experience of battling in the streets with I think
the way you worded it, I was battling in the streets. Didn't know favors there either.
Pistols or swords at dawn, if you know what I mean. That's kind of from my vast experience of battling. Jan Thomas. It's like he slipped me 20 quid or something before this interview. He boxes as well. And if you, Max and Heap's already mentioned it. If you watch him tap in the bag, like, I know he's boxed a long time, and he's Gloucester through and through. And yeah, he's someone I wouldn't want to mess around with, to be honest. Saying that, I was on a night when I was at Bedford, there was one of the players. I wouldn't say who it was. It was one of the players there. Really calm, really quiet guy. Another hooker and really good bloke. And we were in this little French town, and we ended up staying at this club, having a good night out. But this time was tiny, and imagine we had like 30 Bedford boys there, or whatever it's going to be. And we were really enjoying ourselves. We basically took over this club. And that's what happened. The locals weren't very happy about it, and I think the local lads came down and just tried to start a few scraps. And one of the boys got punched and ran in and was like, "Someone's hurt my nose." Like, one of the boys who was not a scrapper. He was more of a peace preacher, if you know what I mean. Yeah. One of the boys went outside, and you could see him like rolling his shoulders, a bit like Brad Pitt in Snatch. Yeah. Next thing you know, knocks out 3 blokes. Just knocks out 3, like a combo. One of those where you're like, never, ever taking the piss out of you ever again. And then there was another boy as well that couldn't. I think he had his arm in a sling.
Yeah.
He was running around booting people like it was going out of fashion. So these two were like it was just.
My guy was trying to hit goals from the halfway.
Oh my god! Honestly, they dispatched the entire local kind of. Familiar, if you know what I mean. And I was just sitting there like I didn't know whether to clap or call an ambulance. Like, it was unbelievable. But yeah, from then on, like, you always worry about the quiet ones, don't you? Like the boys that were really like giving it large were just there like picking up the pieces. I love
the thought of this tour bus the next day and just 2 seats at the back being available for them that weren't there the day before.
What's funny?
You can sit at the back today.
I think what's funny is one of the boys the one that was like kicking field goals for fun. He didn't remember it the next day. He was like, I don't understand. My foot is killing me. He goes, my knee to wall. I don't know what's going on my knee to wall. It's like 1 centimeter. And everyone's like, I've no idea, mate. No idea. The other guy obviously knew exactly what was going on because his fists were absolutely killing him. But no, it's the quiet ones. But Jan Thomas for me would definitely be handy. I think if I was orchestrating a street fight, which I won't ever be doing in the future.
In my world of wildest dreams, that I want to organise like a 4-way round robin between Richard Hibbard, Jan Thomas, and these 2 lads from Bedford.
The wild cards. Who would you have as a special guest referee though?
Oh mate, I don't know. Because it was such an outrageous thing, I'd pick.
I'd go Jim Hamilton. Just after that video of him against. Have you seen the video of him with Gloucester?
When they're walking off the pitch, they're walking off the pitch, yeah. No, I'd have like somebody who like Backy's Botha or something like that, just a proper enforcer.
Yeah, that's a great shout. Oh my god.
I'd pick the world's like least convincing, like just chuck Peter Stringer in there or something. Just go right, keep control of that.
Oh my god, yeah, that'd be
Fair enough. Yeah. Peter Stringer is tough as nails, man. How anybody plays that long for him, I don't know.
No, exactly. Like, well, yeah, fair play to him. He was like a fine wine, just got better with age, didn't he?
Exactly. Right, last one of the teammate section. Which player hogs the mirror in the most post-game? Like, he's had a cracking game. You know he's got a man of the match coming up on Sky Sports. Every lad's just trying to get the hair gel in and get out on the night out. Who's the lad that stood in front of the mirror taking ages?
Andy Uren. Like, really? Fantastic player. Like, not the sharpest tool in the box, but like a fantastic player. Was very vain, but like, as long as he was happy when he played, I didn't really care. But yeah, definitely, he was making sure he was good for his Instagram pictures and his post-match conversations, and then just making sure he made contact with enough people after the game to keep him relevant. But no, I think he's a top lad, and yeah, definitely one of the most vain players I've seen.
There we go. That's teammates with Tom Lindsay. Everybody has just been so down the river. All I know is Jan Thomas is tough as nails now, and he could actually batter anybody in the gym. So
yeah, yeah. I could talk about something else he's known for, but I'm just not going to go there.
Yeah, we'll save it for him when he comes on the podcast and go.
Yeah.
Tom had a story that he told me to ask you about.
Yeah.
Care to discuss? And I also know never to go for a haircut in Bristol.
No. Yeah. No, don't. Yeah. You mate, don't go. You'll be trending, but I don't think you'll be particularly happy with your haircut.
Mate, I was rocking an 80s curly afro until like 2019, so don't worry about it. Like, I didn't know what fade was until lockdown.
Oh god, yeah, I haven't cut my hair at all, so I just look like something from Tudor England. That's all, mate. And I've got the gout to prove it. Honestly.
Mate, you're only 33. You wouldn't describe yourself like you're 68.
Well, I'm Henry VIII, mate. He died very young. but very young. Actually, that's actually my missus is gonna think I'm gonna go through 6 wives now. No,
I was gonna say, why would you pick Henrietta Flair?
Oh yeah, to be fair, yeah. I was thinking of any. I think of someone who was like festively plump all year round.
Yeah, she knows what you mean. You'll be fine.
Yeah,
You'll
yeah,
be fine.
she knows, yeah.
Right, the final question of the whole podcast, and it's the one I gave you a chance to prepare yourself for, and you were buzzing with it. You've got night outs ended. The boys have just put 50 points in the biggest rival. Leicester are there. No wins whatsoever. You're there. You've got somebody turns around. Even better, Jan Thomas turns around, hands you the thing. He says, "I'll spark you out if you don't pick 3 great pop songs to get the boys inspired for a night out." What 3 songs are you picking?
So I've gone for "Flock of Seagulls." I Ran.
Great
Big
song.
fan of that song. Just because it's an 80s belter, unbelievable lids in that video, and it gets the people going. Not even if they don't know the band who sung it or what the name of the song is, they'll know it straight away. My second one would probably be Darude Sandstorm. Just a bit of horrible techno from the 90s. Cornish Pirate, Cornish Pirates obviously run out to that song, which is for me one of the greatest things. It's one of the reasons why I probably wanted to play for Cornish Pirates, just to have to run out to Darude Sandstorm. And the last one for me would be Flow Rider Right Round. Everyone's seen The Hangover. Everyone knows how that song goes, and everyone knows what happened. So when you hear that song, you know it's going to be a good night.
That is such a great choice. Is it in that order as well? That's the order the 3 were going. Yeah,
it's almost like a I Ran, just because you're getting ready for it. It's quite a chilled out song. 80s, getting ready for it. Darude Sandstorm.
You get people singing as well. That's the good part of the first one.
People singing as well. Darude Sandstorm, people are like getting buzzed up. They're enjoying getting a few drinks in, and then it slows down to Right Round. Everyone's like gets that look in their eye. They're looking sharp, ready to go out. End of the season. Next thing you know, it's Mad Monday, and they've been at the ship for 3 days. So it's one of those, mate. So that's the 3 songs I go for.
There we go. So Tom Lindsay officially knows how to start a party post-win. Right, that's us. That's the Over in 80 Minutes podcast. It is definitely, it's not over in 80 minutes, it's over 80 minutes. But there we go. When you're having fun, time flies. Tom, thank you so much for coming on. It's been so good. Like I said earlier, at times I forgot I was the host because you were just talking away, and it was incredible. So thank you very much for coming on. Where can people get you on social? Where can they follow you on social? What's the links? Where should they be?
Well, firstly,
they will be down below. But yeah.
Oh yeah. Firstly, thank you so much for having me on. I am at Tom Lindsay 02 on Instagram. I think I'm the same on Twitter. But same at Blokes. If you follow at Blokes as well, I'm on there, and give as much love as you can to at Blokes. You guys are doing a fantastic job, and the more love we can get, especially for our football match, to raise money for that charity as well, I think that'd be very helpful. But thank you very much, and look forward to following the podcast the next person's on. Mate,
no, absolute pleasure. I can't thank you guys enough. The first guys that are coming on, when it's me just send you a message through personal Instagram accounts going, I promise this isn't a weird request. I generally do have a podcast if you want to come on. But no, mate, thank you for coming on. Like you said, Kick for a Cause, 25th of July. We're going to get there. If you can't make the game, but you still want to donate, there will be links kicking about everywhere, like Tom said, all over Blokes, all over our pages. Make sure you follow the podcast. Make sure you subscribe, like, rate it. It does more help than you could ever imagine. It makes everything go a bit smoother. We've got great guests coming up, chats like these. Who knows, you might hear something you didn't have, and Tom comes on and you've got great bits of intel telling you how young players should work on. And yeah, like we said, watch your women's rugby. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to Tom. Follow Tom. Like Tom's posts. He comes out with belters. Thank you very much. See you guys all again soon. Stay safe and stay happy. See you later.